My nanny stole my designer jewelry and clothes to support my boyfriend. My boyfriend refused my help, saying the nanny's money felt cleaner. He even married me to protect her, until one day, she pushed me into the pool and drowned me. Think you're all that because you're rich? Well, now everything you had is mine. Then, I was reborn, and this time, I planned on showing them that money does make a difference. Today, my boyfriend once again rejected the card I gave him and gave me the cold shoulder. What do you take me for? I've told you, aside from educational assistance, I won't take your money. I hope you don't insult my character with cash, or we're done, he huffed and walked away with a cold expression. A girl nearby gasped, wow, he's so cool for not bowing to money. I looked at the card in my hand and realized I had been reborn. In my past life, I was so attracted to guys like him who rejected money and were noble. But if he truly didn't care for money, how did he become a key member of the school research society? I chuckled and pulled back the card. There's 50 grand on this card. The girl who was gasping just now was stunned and quickly walked away after swallowing hard. Even my boyfriend, who was walking away, hesitated, but he continued walking stiffly. I decided not to bother with him. Since I got a second chance, I was going to set things right. So, I went and bought some hidden cameras and headed back to my big villa. My parents were away most of the time, so it was just me and a few servants. They looked after my needs, but somehow, over time, I became secondary. My nanny, Bonnie, became the priority. Just because she had a way with words and I pitied her for being young and working, I was always generous with her. Over time, they all forgot who the real owner of the house was. As soon as I got home, I saw her sitting at the table eating, the meal spread lavishly with over 10 dishes. The servant Laura was smiling, placing dishes in front of her, saying, Bonnie, you've lost weight recently, eat more. Thanks, Laura, you're so nice to me. I'll talk to Lucy about raising your salary. I heard your daughter-in-law is due soon, and you need money. Thank you so much, Bonnie. This scene played out at my house every day, and I, the one actually paying, became an outsider. Laura, pack up and go home now. Both Laura and Bonnie were stunned. Why? Laura's tone wasn't respectful, just casual, as if doing me a favor, even glancing at Bonnie for help, like I was making trouble over nothing. The nanny stood up and sighed like she was coaxing a spoiled girl. Lucy, did Eric upset you? Tomorrow I'll talk to him for you. Don't take it out on Laura, she did nothing wrong. Laura looked just as wronged. I coldly pointed at the table and said, when did I ever say it was okay to start dinner without me? And why should I eat leftovers? I'm the owner of this villa, in case you forgot. Laura immediately said, but you were okay with it before. Besides, Bonnie was hungry. Since when did you become her nanny? Is she the one paying you? I called the housekeeper without hesitation, asking them to settle Laura's salary and show her out. To my surprise, the housekeeper frowned, and everyone looked to Bonnie, as if she was the one in charge. Bonnie approached me, tears in her eyes. It's all my fault. I was too hungry. What? Does my word mean nothing here anymore? Maybe I should call my dad to sort this out. I picked up my phone. The housekeeper quickly smiled. No need to bother him, miss. It's such a small matter. I'll just let Laura go home to reflect and come back later. I sneered, she's not coming back. Then I walked upstairs, leaving the nanny to continue her show. I pointed at the table, I don't eat leftovers. Make a fresh meal for me and bring it upstairs. Upstairs, I could hear the nanny saying, don't worry, she must just be in a bad mood. I'll make it up to her, it truly is funny, she's just someone I've hired. I could kick her out right now, but that would be too easy on her. She needs to answer for her actions. While she was busy reassuring the others, I installed 3 microcameras in my walk-in closet and jewelry cabinet, connected to my phone. I installed one in my room and one in the kitchen since I knew she'd steal from my house to bring imported goodies to that man. They act all high and mighty, pretending to live strongly, supported by things they've stolen from me. Once everything was set up and I'd changed, Bonnie knocked on my door. Not wanting to waste words, I said, I'm busy, don't disturb me. I was actually taking stock of what had been stolen. Honestly, after living a whole life, I didn't know what all was missing. Bonnie sounded anxious from outside. Lucy, was it wrong for me to eat before you? I know it's not my place to sit there. But your parents asked me to look after you before they left, and I thought of you as a friend, that's why I was casual. If you don't like it, I won't eat at the table anymore. As for Eric, he's really worried about you. If he knew you were feeling like this, he'd be unsettled. He might fear you're mad and avoid you for days. How about? Don't you understand English? Get lost. Annoy me again, and you're out too. Lucy, how could you say that to me? I'm only doing what's best for you. Annoyed, I opened the door, looked at her coldly, arms crossed, and said, what's best for me? Aren't you just playing the saint while threatening me? Everyone in this house treats you like the real miss. I'm stuck as second fiddle. Lucy, why are you thinking like that? I just treat you like family, so I'm a bit casual. If you don't like it, I can change tomorrow, okay? She's pretending to look all pitiful, thinking I'd feel sorry. But I shut the door and sneered, saying, well, let's see how you do tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day for her if I remember right. Tomorrow's when Eric's project needs the team to chip in again. In our past life, he used the money from my card today to invest, and because of the huge amount, he got picked as the project leader. But in this life, I didn't force him to take that card, nor did I insult him, so now it's her chance to save the day since they're childhood friends. And where's Bonnie going to get all that money? If she wants some cash, she's gotta use her old tricks. Had a decent night's sleep, though a bit restless, but still got up on time. Checked the kitchen cameras from the early morning as I headed downstairs. Yup, saw her using the fresh seafood shipped from Australia to make seafood porridge for Eric, along with some light side dishes. There's no way a maid would have the authority to use those things, so I saved that footage. But now, she's back, bringing me the leftover seafood porridge and those side dishes to the table. I took a look and just tossed the plates over, then said coldly, Butler, is everyone here starting to ignore me? Even breakfast is being skimped on. This porridge looks leftovers, it's already gone cold. If this goes on, I'll have to get my dad involved to see what's going wrong here. The butler glanced at Bonnie, and she immediately crawled over to me on her knees, pleading, Lucy, I'm sorry. I was just scared you'd be late for class, so I made the porridge early. Please forgive me, sorry. She was almost bowing her head to the ground. What a drama queen. I sneered, the time is fixed. You didn't even have time to heat it up for me? Must be super busy, huh? Then I just grabbed my backpack and left. Saw the driver wiping the car outside and noticed the mud under its wheels. I got the hint. The maid took my personal driver to go to the university to bring Eric his meal, then came back to handle my breakfast. She really knows how to manage her time, and she's got people helping her out. Once I got to school, I told the driver as I got out, after you take the car back, go see the butler for your 3 months' wages. You're not needed anymore. His smile froze, and he asked, not too nicely, why? Did I do something wrong that you're firing me? I laughed at him and said, oh, you didn't do anything wrong? So, are you my personal driver or Bonnie's? These past few mornings, you've been taking her to the university to deliver breakfast to my boyfriend, then back. That's too much work, I just can't keep you. He snapped back, you told me to take her to deliver breakfast to that guy every day. What's my fault? When you were all lovey-dovey, it was fine. Now there's a problem, and you blame me? I'm telling you, just because I'm your family's driver doesn't mean I won't stand up for myself. He even tried to come closer. I already had my phone in my hand, ready to call if he did anything. I sneered, let me ask you, when did I tell you and Bonnie to deliver breakfast to that guy? Got any proof? He opened his mouth but was speechless because he knows I've never said that. Bonnie did. Is Bonnie the one paying you, or is it me? You can't figure that out. What kind of driver are you? He couldn't argue anymore, so he just turned around and left. As soon as he was gone, my boyfriend Eric rushed up, yelling at me, Lucy, Just because I didn't take your dirty money yesterday, you're taking it out on Bonnie? If you keep being like this, we're breaking up. Fine, whoever doesn't want to break up is a fool. Trying to use a breakup to threaten me, what a spineless idiot. Eric was surprised but didn't believe I would really dump him. He frowned and sighed, alright, if you apologize to Bonnie, we won't have to break up. I didn't expect you to be such a coward. I sneered, waved him off, and said, I have nothing to apologize to either of you for. As of today, you're my ex-boyfriend. Good exes should just stay in the grave, don't come back to life in front of me. He wanted to lecture me, you're too headstrong. No one's gonna indulge that in the real world. I glared at him, get lost. And with his angered stare, I walked into the school. Today, I've decided which project to support. After all, I've lived this life before. I know which school research projects will benefit my family's business and succeed. So why shouldn't I strengthen our company's future? In my last life, I didn't help my parents much. Before I died, Eric had taken over most of the business, and with a little more flattery towards my parents, all of my family's assets would have been his. Thinking about it only made me angrier. On my way to lunch, the current head of Eric's project, that guy who's one of Eric's friends, approached me. Standing tall, he said, Miss Lucy, our project with Eric needs a push this month, but we're running low on funds. If you pitch in today, we're all heading to karaoke tonight and you're invited. Unbelievable. After he finished, I stood up and told him straight, starting today, I'm no longer supporting your project. His face immediately soured, and he said, Lucy, don't let personal feelings interfere with work. Don't delay our work because you're fighting with Eric. Do you think your project has any advantages over others? Honestly, I only invested because Eric was my boyfriend. But now we're broken up, so why should I keep pouring money into your crappy project? After saying that, I ignored the guy's angry face and went straight to find the person in charge at the school, asking to fund the new energy project. I know the future is all about new energy, especially this research project at the school. It's going to be hugely successful. But because it didn't have much funding, it took 3 or 4 years to succeed. After leaving the principal's office, I came to an agreement with the new energy research group. The teacher and students there tearfully saw me out, promising I wouldn't be disappointed. In that moment of excitement, they suddenly stopped talking and looked awkwardly at the person behind me. But they didn't leave, they stuck by me as if scared I'd run away. I figured out who it was and turned to face him, full of confidence. This proud guy, with red eyes, asked, What exactly do you want? Even if we broke up, didn't you agree to fund the project? Are you planning to quit halfway? You really disappoint me. I've already sent millions into that lousy project with no results. Yet you guys always dine at the fanciest places in town. You know where that money comes from. I'd be a fool to invest more. Anyone else can be the sucker, not me. Don't nag me about quitting, I'm just cutting my losses. And if you're disappointed, I couldn't care less. Go away. I didn't hold back at all. Proud Eric reached out to hit me, but a group of new energy people quickly stepped in, protecting me like I was their leader. I couldn't help but laugh. How blind I was in the past to be fooled by that so-called core project group. They acted like I was just Eric's flunky and never treated me well. I used to not care, but now I'm done with these people. Seeing the situation, Eric snorted and left, saying, Hope you don't regret it. Whoever regrets is a dog, and you were just a coward, don't be a dog too. He stormed off, but I knew he had a backup plan, which was actually a trap I set for them. After he left, I checked my phone and saw Bonnie sneaking into my closet. Before, she only took clothes or accessories I didn't care about anymore. But this time, she opened my jewelry box and stole 2 necklaces and a ring. I quickly checked online. One necklace was a limited edition worth $120,000, the new one was $30,000, and that ordinary ring was over $50,000. Altogether, over $200,000, enough for her to pay dearly. But I stayed quiet and went on a second-hand marketplace app. In the past, she sold my stuff there secretly. Soon, I found a shop named Miss Bonnie. Her profile said she was selling in used items because her closet was too small. Refreshing the page, I was shocked. Over the past 2 years, she sold almost 200 to 300 of my things. No wonder this poor nanny could afford a house and play the posh lady. That all came from me. Later, the school announced future directions, investors, and achievements of various projects. Eric's team got $50,000, investor code named YY. He held his head high and looked proud. But then they revealed I invested $200,000 in the new energy project. His eyes went red, and he glared at me, but I ignored him. That night, I was gathering evidence on my phone when he called. I remembered I hadn't blocked him while collecting evidence. I was curious what he wanted but nearly fainted from his words. That shameless man said, "Lucy, I know you're upset because I embarrassed you in front of our classmates. I have steak and wine ready at the hotel, and your favorite gifts. Come over, let's talk all night. Then tomorrow you can withdraw your other investment, and we'll get engaged, okay? Bonnie said you love ending your youthful days in a romantic way, and I'll go along with that, okay?" Was this shameless man still the high and mighty Eric from my past life, trying to sell himself? Just shameless. Do you think what you've got is gold and worth the money? Spending a night with me just to take out $200,000? With that, I could hire some celebrities. Who do you think you are? Lucy, I agreed to marry you. What more do you want? The money isn't for me, it's for the project. I hung up on him and blocked his number. Even after all that, I was still mad. Just as I got inside, there was a knock, with Bonnie's voice outside. "Lucy, Charles is here. He wants to take you out. If you don't want to go, I'll tell him, okay?" Charles was the son of my father's close friend, and both families wanted a business alliance in my past life. I opposed this idea and chose a social climber instead. "When did you start deciding for me?" I sneered. "But it's so late, it's not safe. Maybe I should reschedule for tomorrow." I think Eric would. Opening the door, I looked at Bonnie, nervous on the other side. She must be worried I'd find something missing in my closet, otherwise, why stop me from going out? "Eric and I are done. And since you're his childhood friend, you should leave my house too." "Yes, because Eric introduced her. That's the only reason I let his poor childhood friend work as a nanny at my place. Turns out, they teamed up behind my back to get rid of me. I think there's a misunderstanding between you guys. I'll go talk to him." She turned and ran off but glanced back and said, "Lucy, if you go out, you should dress simply for safety." I shot her a cold look until she felt guilty and went downstairs. I still took a walk with Charles and then hired a private detective to investigate those two. I always felt there was something more between them than childhood friendship. Pretty quickly, the private investigator sent me a video. In it, Bonnie was scolding Eric. "How did you manage to piss her off? I told you not to overdo it, to give her some sweetness now and then, otherwise, she'll get upset easily. Don't you know how spoiled she is? It's frustrating. It took so much to get that witch to like you, you should be keeping her sweet. Otherwise, what will happen to our future?" Eric grabbed her hand and whispered, "Don't worry. I'll get her to hand over the $2 million. We'll give $500,000 to the project team, keep $1.5 million, and buy a house in the city." In my past life, I found out about their relationship 1 week before my death. Maybe if I hadn't discovered their connection, I wouldn't have died. Without children, it's tough for them to lay claim to my family's wealth. I didn't expect them to have been scheming together so early. The guy I liked was acting so subservient to another woman, it made my blood boil. Fine, if nothing works, just take her body, she's a pampered princess. A little sweetness and she'll be head over heels. We can't make it here on our own, this is the only way. I've done my research, she loves the cold aloof type like you. Once you're their son-in-law, everything there will be ours. Bonnie dropped her delicate mask, revealing a fierce, ruthless side. Fine, since she's not coming, let's head to the hotel. The guy took Bonnie along. I had the PI keep tabs on them and quickly had my dad replace all the servants, housekeepers, and drivers. I also hired some bodyguards. Now I realized, meeting Eric was part of Bonnie's plot, proving she knew my family very well. So well, she knew my type. The staff at home were most suspect. By the next night, when Bonnie came back, everything had changed. I didn't care about her panicked look and called the cops straight away. When the officers arrived, Bonnie was on her knees, begging me to see Eric. She claimed Eric was sick, thinking I didn't love him anymore. He regretted everything, loved me, and didn't want to lose me. I checked the time, smirked, and said, "You should be more worried about yourself." While Bonnie was stunned, the police went upstairs. I stepped out and pointed at Bonnie. She's been stealing and selling 200 to 300 items from my house in the past 2 years. Bonnie's face turned dark, and she shouted, "I didn't do it, Lucy, what nonsense are you spouting? I'm your best friend, your boyfriend's distant relative. You can't accuse me just because you're fighting with him." I showed the evidence of her sneaking expensive stuff out from my closet on my phone. Then dramatically told the cops, "I never doubted you, always saw you as my best friend. But things have been missing lately, and I wondered who could do such a thing. I didn't expect it to be you. Why call the cops? Why get me arrested? This will ruin me." Bonnie pleaded. "You ruin me, Eric won't forgive you. He won't marry you. Please, don't let them take me away." Finally scared, Bonnie showed a bit of her true self. But I learned the art of making people feel uncomfortable and said sadly, "I'm saving you. If I didn't call, you'd ruin your life stealing petty things. Next, it'll be worse crimes. Don't you agree?" I asked the officers, who all nodded in agreement. Then, they took Bonnie away. As Bonnie left, she begged me to save her. Otherwise, she'd tell Eric to ignore me. Without me, Bonnie's nothing but Eric's side affair. The next day at school, Eric was actually waiting at the door. He looked a bit antsy. "Lucy, why didn't Bonnie bring my lunch this morning? Did you send her off on some errand again? You're a rich girl, but remember, we're all equal now. You can't. Are you done? So concerned about your little Bonnie, sweetheart? Why bother me if you're so worried about her?" I faced Eric head on, questioning him in front of our curious classmates. Eric panicked and shouted, "What are you talking about? I just can't stand your entitled ways. I've always hoped you'd change. But you're so disappointing. Didn't you know I was rich the first day we met? I'm fine the way I am, I don't need you to change me. And haven't you always wondered why we broke up? Because you're spoiled." I smirked and waited for the crowd to gather, then flipped my phone to project onto the ad screen on a nearby truck. The large screen began playing the detective's footage. Besides what I saw, it even included scenes from the hotel room. "Stop it. Don't play it." Eric tried to get closer, but my new bodyguards blocked him. Everyone got a free show, a real-life drama. When a teacher arrived, I finally turned it off. Some guys whistled and said, "I didn't expect the babysitter to be so hot. When are you gonna send me a copy, senior? I'll watch it alone and definitely won't share." I didn't respond to him directly, but secretly, I made sure someone emailed him the video. Once something is spread far enough, it traps people in a scandal they can't escape from. You know what social death is? This is social death. Get away from me, Lucy. You're so evil for allowing stuff like this to be filmed. Did I give you too much credit? Are you breaking up with me? What a couple of losers, using the same threats to get to me. But it doesn't work on me anymore. We already broke up, and there's something you don't know. Your little partner in crime has been busted. You'll be joining him soon. I smiled coldly as a police car pulled up in front of the school. They got out and asked for Eric, then showed him their badges and said, "Eric, you've been threatening your girlfriend Bonnie to steal a massive fortune from her employer and investing it in your projects. We're figuring out where the money went. You're the prime suspect, so come with us to the station for questioning." No, it wasn't me. It was her doing. She stole their stuff. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't even know she was stealing and selling their things. Eric panicked, going pale. Was this seriously a case of turning on each other already? I was pleased. I hoped they kept it up at the station. Watching them, the ones who conspired to ruin me last time, turning against each other was satisfying. Finally, Eric swallowed his pride and knelt before me. Lucy, please believe me. I was tricked by that woman. I didn't know the money was stolen. If I did, why would I take hers instead of yours? I gave him a long look and said, weren't you both plotting to take my family's money from the start? One planned it, the other executed it. Why would I believe a scammer? I was tricked too, Lucy, please help me. Eric was truly terrified, crying his eyes out. But I turned away coldly and got into my car. I won't let them off the hook. I have all the proof and will find the best lawyer to make sure they can't easily get out. In my last life, I had no idea I was taken down by these schemers. Even the love was a scam. It made me so angry. I once thought I was blind to have fallen for Eric, but knowing now it was planned manipulation makes it disgusting. I went to the police station, explained everything they did, and listed all the things they stole and every dime they scammed. I never imagined they could plunder over $5 million from me and steal more than $6 million in 2 years. I invested over $100 million in total before being murdered. It was heartbreaking. Both kept asking to meet me, and I obliged. All they did was blame each other, claiming they were tricked. I watched, indifferent, and said, no matter who led this, I'm the victim, so I'll make sure you two get locked up for a long time. I kept my promise, and soon they were sentenced. One got 5 years, the other 6. They even started cussing each other out in court, calling each other names. I found it hilarious, watching them get more time for contempt of court. After they were imprisoned, I found out who leaked information to Bonnie. It turned out to be the butler, a distant relative of hers. During a village gathering, he drunkenly spilled the beans to her. People like that won't find work in this field ever again, not with a little help from my dad. 6 months after I invested in a renewable energy research project, we saw returns. Their work even won a prize. Many wanted to buy out the project, but they chose to partner with us instead. My dad was thrilled and handed the project over to me. With my past life knowledge, I quickly pushed the renewable energy product into the market. 3 years later, I graduated and took over part of the family business, becoming a respected figure. While some rich kids were partying, I had achievements under my belt. Dad now mostly takes a back seat, only showing up at major events. One day, as I descended from the executive elevator, I saw a buzzcut guy being pushed out by security. He yelled, "Let me go. I'm Lucy's boyfriend." The guard mocked, "Our Lucy's a top business exec, and you're just a bum." The man looked up and saw me, his face lighting up with joy. He sprinted over, saying, "Lucy, it's me, Eric. I've missed you so much. Let's get married." I looked at him coldly and laughed. "You think a con artist like you deserves me? For real?" Charles came up, wrapping an arm around me, asking, "What's going on?" I'd accepted my parents' suggestion to date him 6 months ago. Even though it's a family arrangement, he's ambitious and treats me kindly. Turns out a forced marriage can be sweet sometimes. That guy just got out of jail and tried to say we're getting married. "I think he's got a screw loose," I told him, mocking Eric. Charles's expression turned stern. "Your security needs a refresher if people like him can get in. Get him out of here, and don't let him bother my girlfriend again." "Girlfriend? Lucy, you're cheating on me?" Eric shouted, but I just rolled my eyes and told Charles, "He seems legit crazy. Maybe we should send him straight to a psych ward." Charles nodded. "Yes, take him away. Next time, don't ask, just send him in." Security dragged Eric out. His words were nasty, confirming to all he was unhinged. Tried reaching out to me 6 times over the year, ultimately being declared mentally ill and institutionalized. As for Bonnie, once released, she was exacted revenge upon by the butler she dragged down with her. He married her off to an older bachelor, and she now lives in misery and despair. She sought me out, but I let him know her whereabouts. I don't condone domestic abuse, but someone like her deserves this fate. You harm others, you end up harming yourself.